Michael. What a pleasure to be here again with you to talk about garments. Remember we did that in Threads 2021?
Yeah, for sure. It's a pleasure to be back here again.
Yeah, and you're looking just as dapper today as you were a year ago, Michael. Please tell us, what are you wearing?
Yeah, thanks, Anita. Yeah, this is a kaftan from the northern part of Nigeria. And true story, this was actually sent all the way from Kano, somewhere called Kano in Nigeria,
Mhm.
to me by a friend for my last birthday.
It's lovely. It's lovely. And what significance does the hat have?
Yeah, so like I said, this is a kaftan and is mostly worn by people from the northern part of the country.
Hmm.
But these days, because of how fluid, clothes can be,
Hmm.
pretty much everyone, dresses this way now. And the cap just completes the
Right.
outfit. Yeah, it has some unique patterns, of course,
Yeah, I
and
see
those
that.
patterns are associated with, where they're made.
Lovely. Is it made locally then in Nigeria?
Yes, this was woven,
Oh,
actually
beautiful.
handmade, hand woven.
Beautiful.
Thank
It's
you.
beautiful.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I love your
Oh,
earrings, by the way.
thank you. Thank you very much. A little bit of turquoise. Yeah. Yeah. So I have something to talk about today that I brought with a story about a certain dress and a certain sort of culture.
Yeah,
Um,
I've been staring at this since we got here, and I'm just wondering, do you want to tell us about the
yeah, I
dress?
could actually. Well, it kind of vibrates a little bit. I'm not sure, but well, it's not so much about the dress itself. It's also about the experience of getting the dress, actually. So this is a dress that was picked up in what we would call a people's market. It's actually in Istanbul, Dolapdere. It's a market that is every Saturday and Sunday. And as a matter of fact, it's run largely by the Roma people. Um, well, sometimes they're called gypsies. That's a really derogatory name, but the Roma people run the market. And so you find wonderful things in it. But it's not just that market. There are many markets in Istanbul that are people's markets on a specific day of the week. And so what happens is you have large sort of tarpaulins stretched out between narrow streets, and people just have tables of all kinds of clothes sort of heaped up that are both new and also because we manufacture a lot of clothes in Turkey in the textile industry. Sometimes they might be rejects, but they might be branded. So it's an easy way for a person to get a garment for a very reasonable amount and to be able to fit in and not have to spend all that crazy money for a brand. But this dress was picked out by a dear, dear friend of mine. Her name's Inji, which means pearl. And Inji and I make a habit of going to these people's markets because she's actually a documentary photographer. And part of her work is to actually take photographs of people selling this stuff before they lose their chance to, because there's a lot of gentrification going on in Istanbul, and so some of these markets are being removed. But there's such a pleasure. I'm sure you have similar markets in Nigeria,
Yeah, we
don't you,
do. Yeah, we
Michael?
do. Yeah.
So you know what I'm talking
Yeah, I
about, right?
do.
Yeah, the spirit and
Yeah.
the energy of the place. So what Inji and I do, we go off for the day, and the beauty of the friendship is through the garments as well, because she looks for things for me and I look for things for her, and we're rummaging around, and there's noise and chaos, and then all of a sudden you find something, and there it is. And she says, "This is it. This looks great on you." And she holds it up against me. And this was that dress. And so it has
Wow.
a really fond memory for me.
Oh, that's a beautiful story. I'm just fascinated, that the dress reminds you of that friendship, right?
Mm,
Yeah, and it's amazing how like a piece of item you own, could be a piece of clothing or something,
yeah,
reminds you of someone,
yeah.
and that memory stays.
Well, it's so special with her because she takes me to all sorts of different places, and she's just has such a knack for choosing the right things. And so each garment that I have in my closet, I can remember the day that we were out finding that or looking for it, and it's the same for her with me as well. I find her things as well, um, and so it's that chaos and that kind of socialization of being in the market together and sharing those experiences and talking about life as we walk along and listening to all the chatter and the calls of the street sellers selling you things.
Yeah,
And
I like that. I like that you said that. Yeah, because it also brings back memories for me
hmm,
about the sort of markets we might have back home in
mm,
some countries in Africa.
hmm.
And going to those markets is like an event.
Oh, it
Like
is.
yeah, you have to prepare to
Yeah.
go there, and they're periodic. So you could have a market that happens like once a week or once a month,
Hmm.
and everybody in the community and around prepare to go to those markets, and the
Exactly.
tradition and the customs and how people interact with each other and how they
Yeah.
haggle.
Oh, the
Yeah,
haggling's
it's a
great.
different kind of
Yeah,
human interaction.
it is.
Yeah,
The haggle is a real art.
yes.
And just to find the right thing. And often, just that relationship that you develop with people and all the ways that they know how to sell you the stuff, right? But it's a good, honest way just to get nice things for a reasonable amount and just be together with a really, really good friend at the same time, all the while she's documenting their lives too. So it was a rich experience with her. But if I talk about the actual garment itself,
Yeah.
it's just what we would call a tricot, which is sort of a knit cotton with maybe a little bit of rayon in it. And the color brown with the turquoise. The turquoise always, of course, reminds me of the Bosphorus and the beauty of the straits. But it's kind of fashioned like an evil eye down
Oh.
here. And the evil eye is something that keeps away bad spirits, although it's not an evil eye dress, but I like to think of it that way. And it's also an interesting find because it's both long enough that I can fit in with, let's say, a sort of conspicuously pious crowd that likes, not doesn't really prefer short dresses. But then it's also a short sleeve, so I can also look very secular, which we have this strange polarization these days with our dress in Istanbul and in Turkey in general. But it's a dress that feels like a second skin. I can just slip it on, and if I gain a little bit of weight, it just expands with me, and if I lose a little bit of weight, it just hugs my shape a little easier. So it's just so flexible, and I think I'll wear it forever. I just don't know what I'll do when the colors fade and stuff, but I'll never throw it away. It'll always be a dress
Oh, that's touching. So,
of Inji and I.
two things strike me as
Yeah.
you spoke about this dress, and the first one would be, um, is there a place, perhaps here in the city or anywhere in Canada, for instance, where you can almost recreate an experience like that, or historically even,
Yeah.
was there ever a time when people could barter, or trade in this
Mm.
way in Canada? Yeah, and the second thing would be about your dress. I see how lovingly you describe it. Yeah, like does it have a specific origin um, in Turkey?
No, it's just a mass-produced good, and
Oh
it's
wow.
one of our many many garments that we used to make. We used to manufacture so much textile, work in the industry, and then a lot of that moved to China. So, but we were very very good in textiles, producing all the major brands for Europe and the world. So this isn't really any. It's not a brand. It's nothing. It's just a regular run-of-the-mill dress. I don't know who designed it, but or found the pattern, but there's nothing special about it. And about bartering, well, here in Canada, it's just not the same. Like the only place once I can feel maybe a little the farmer's market, just the crowd, but it's not that feeling of that spirit. I have had that though in London, in England, the flower market, Columbia Flower Market, and other people's markets that they have. I can get that sense. Whether they ever had markets like that here or not, I'm not sure. Maybe in the early 20th century, maybe, I don't know. But this is a very much department store kind of institutionalized shopping here, which is just not the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you so much. That's really fascinating. And yeah, just to mention that I hear when you speak, every time you wear this dress, probably um, you're reminded of the number of people who maybe their livelihood depend on,
Yes.
yeah, being involved in the production of this particular dress. So it's not just wearing a garment, but it's feeding people, right?
It is
It's
feeding
it's
people, and
sustenance.
exactly, and it's allowing everybody to join in because, like I said, the cheap knockoffs, like everybody can still join in, wear a brand, whether it's real or not, and feel included, which is really, really important. And thank you for asking those questions. And it's just a really, yeah, a touching thing. Garment for me means friendship. And
Yeah.
so that's, yeah. But I would like to hear more about your garment, Michael. Okay, well, I understand that, Michael, you have a garment that you've brought to talk about, and I think it's this T-shirt, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you bet. Yeah, so your garment reminded us of friendship, not so much mine. My choice reminds me of loss, um, brings back memories of my dad.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Yes, yeah. So the T-shirt, the blue T-shirt here, um, I actually got it in 2014,
Michael.
and that was the year my dad passed. What happened was I had gone to the US from Nigeria. I traveled to Houston for work, and I had just arrived, and had to stay with a friend for a few hours until I could check into the hotel. And so I had lunch in his house with his family, and then he drove me to the hotel so I could check in when it was time. And just as we pulled into the premises,
Yeah.
yeah, I get a phone call, and it's my brother from Nigeria, one of my brothers. I have many, and he says, "Oh, like, where are you? Like, um, I'm in a car.
Yeah.
Like, is there somebody with you?" I'm like, "Yes, there's somebody with me."
Hmm.
And he says, "Bad news. Daddy just died."
Oh, I'm so sorry,
And
Michael.
yeah,
May he rest in peace.
amen.
Yeah,
Yeah. So now I'm very confused. Like, okay, do I head back to the airport because I just got here?
that's right.
Um, do I stay on and continue with my assignment there? It was really confusing. Um, but we checked into the hotel. I
Hmm.
checked into the hotel, and my friend, he stayed with me for a while, and then he had to leave. And I had the whole night to grieve and
Hmm.
try as much as I could to remember, bring back memories of my dad and everything while he was alive.
Hmm.
Um, and then the next day, my friend comes to pick me up, um, and sensing that I felt dissociated from everyone, disconnected from everyone back home.
Hmm.
And yes, I was wondering, like, maybe they were involved, having meetings, planning the burial already, this sort of thing. And I wasn't there to be a part of it. And I really felt like um, I wasn't playing my role or my part. So he
That
wanted
must
to
be
cheer
very
me
hard.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was hard. He wanted to cheer me up. So he says, "Oh, you know what? Let's go somewhere." And he drives me to this shop where they make T-shirts. Um, and he says, "I'd like to do something for you.
Hmm.
And how many siblings do you have?" And I told him, and he says, "Okay, we're gonna make a T-shirt for every member of your family that sort of commemorates your dad's life." So we had it crested, had his name on it, the way my dad likes to be called, JB Afenfia, and his year of birth, and
Yeah. He
2014
died when
when,
he was 78.
yes, when he passed, and made for my siblings. Got back home in time for the burial, and we all wore the T-shirts, as part of the burial.
Tell
Um,
me a bit more about that because it sounds like there's a bit of friendship here as well. Your friend in America that he would make this T-shirt for you. He really took your thoughts and feelings into great consideration. Is that his initiative, or would that be a cultural thing? Because you said that he made a T-shirt for all of your family members or your brothers. Is that something typical
yeah, I
that would
think
be done,
burial,
or
yeah,
was that his own
burials,
initiative?
yes, burials may be a bit communal. Like if someone passed, particularly if they're old and like they've been involved in the community, everybody wants to be a part of it, right? So
Hmm.
there'll be contributions, in addition to what the siblings, the children would do. Um, the community as a whole will come together contribute money, maybe buy a
Mm,
cow or something
mm,
as part of the burial, their contribution to the burial. So it's sort of communal. And
okay.
my friend being Nigerian, I guess he felt that sense of I need to do something and I want to be a part of this, and that was his contribution. And of course, like if someone died back home and they've lived like a rich, fulfilled life, and they have children who are old and doing good, then it's not so much a burial like a sad thing. It's
It's a
more like
celebration,
yeah, a jamboree,
a
if you will.
jamboree, yeah.
Yeah. So there's no lots of
So it's a
it's
celebration
a
of life,
celebration of
yeah.
life. Yeah.
Yeah. So even in the loss, it seems that the garment and the ritual of making the t-shirt all fit together to sort of help you grieve and
Yeah. Sort
overcome.
of
And so
yeah, connected me back,
connected. Yeah.
and the sense that yes, through him, I was doing something. I was going to come back with something that could cheer people. I mean, it's just a simple T-shirt, right?
Yeah.
But it did have that effect of cheering everybody up.
So tell me about the symbol. I mean, does it have any particular meaning, the symbol itself?
Oh,
James B. Afenfia, but the symbol
yeah,
on it, does that have any?
the key thing is like his name, of course, being there, and then
Mm-hmm.
how long he lived. We were looking for ideas for a crest,
Hmm.
and like there's a crown there, right? So like,
Mm.
okay, my dad wasn't a
Yeah.
king in
No.
that sense, like royalty in that sense, but to
Yeah.
us he was a
Of
king,
course
right?
he was.
Yeah. So
I'm
to
sure he's a
crown,
wonderful man. How
yeah.
many brothers and sisters, Michael?
I have four brothers
Uh-huh.
and I have six sisters.
So would the four brothers also have this t-shirt the
Everybody,
same, or
everybody,
everybody?
everybody has.
Everybody.
I bet we even had some extras for
Mm.
some other people
But
who.
is it ever worn again, or it's a keepsake and you would never wear it again, or
No, so for
it's
me, yeah. So notice I'm in Canada, right? I'm not in
mm-hmm,
Nigeria anymore,
mm,
and this burial was since 2014. And see
mm-hmm.
how well kept the shirt is, right?
It is,
So
it's new.
I hardly ever wear it. I do wear it, I must confess, because there are moments I feel connected to my dad. So I could wake up a particular Sunday morning or something. I feel like, you know what, I think I need to wear that. Or I'm going through something and I feel like I need a father figure, even though I'm a father myself.
Mm,
I need a father figure, at this moment. But my dad is not there for me to talk to.
right.
So wearing this sort of like connects me to him, and then bringing it all the way from Canada, it also
Mm-hmm.
makes me feel like my dad is with me on this journey.
That's a
Yeah.
lovely statement. That is. And as he was you were away from him when he passed and now you're here on your own. It is a kind of an interesting parallel and connection. I just wondered whose courtesy Anand?
Yeah, so
So is
the
that your
friend, yeah,
friend?
he didn't
Yeah.
want to like put
So it
his
is
name.
about friendship though,
Yeah, yeah.
isn't
So
it,
he
as
has
well?
some non-profit thing he does in the US,
Mm,
and he decided, okay, no, let's put that. He didn't want his name, um, because usually they would have souvenirs and things like that, and people would say, oh, this came from someone, but I guess he wanted to be anonymous, and that was the way of achieving that anonymity.
can I ask about your father and what do you think he would have thought of this T-shirt in his memory? And I think you said your father was dressed very well. I think you said at the beginning, didn't you? Tell me a little about how your father would have dressed and what he might have thought of the T-shirt.
Yeah, I'm sure he'd love it. I'm sure he'd love it. My dad, a sense of fashion, like no one,
Like you.
no one can, no one can deny that. Yeah, and something else like why this particularly, means a lot to me is
Mhm.
because traditionally when someone passes and they have family and children, um, after the burial, a day or so after the burial, depending on what part of Nigeria you're from,
Mhm.
the family members are gathered and then they share, the clothes and
Uh-huh.
some assets are shared. But I had to go back to work almost immediately after my dad was buried.
Oh,
So I wasn't
yeah.
around when that sharing was done. And there's so many things of my dad that like I'd been
Oh,
coveting even when he was alive. Like dad should just give me this.
oh,
Um, and that never happened because I had to go back to work. So at the end of
yeah.
the day,
So
like
not shoes or
it's the
the
one
one
blue
blue
t-shirt.
t-shirt. So no shoes or tie, but
No
the one
shoes,
blue
no
t-shirt.
shoes. That particular tie I'd always wanted. No, I didn't get it.
Mm. Well, Michael, it's maybe a difficult thing to share, but thank you for sharing that with me. And I think this will be with you forever.
I
And
hope so.
yeah, it'll be a very important piece for you to remember. And about loss, but also I think about friendship. And Anand did a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
And may your father rest in peace. Thank you for sharing that, Michael.
Thank you.
Yeah,
And yeah, even though I started by saying that, this reminds me of loss, it also reminds me of life.
yeah,
Yeah, and um, this is me, and you have shared your own story about, that one garment
mhm,
reminding you of friendship. I'm sure, everyone watching this, they probably have something in their lives.
yeah,
Yeah, a piece of clothing, a garment, maybe even an old comb or something that you just can't let go of, because it reminds you of something and it's a connection to
yeah,
an experience, a friendship, a relationship, an aspiration that you just don't want to let go of.
yeah. Life and shared experiences. Thank you so much, Michael, and thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thank you.